In this video, we are going to be talking about how to face adversity as a spiritual person. I think when you come out of the spiritual closet, you can face some judgment or just maybe some people that are a little prejudiced towards your beliefs or your practices and things like that, and that can be a little difficult. And so I just felt like I should make a video about it because I have been interacting with some people that have faced the same issues, along with myself, obviously. My name is Catherine. I'm an energy healer, spiritual coach, and nurse practitioner. If you need personalized coaching or an energy healing from yours truly, then you can go to my website at catherineglassman.com, or you can email me at hello@catherineglassman.com. I would also like to apologize for the sound. It is very echoey in here. I just moved into this house. Everything is falling apart. I literally broke the blinds just trying to get good lighting. So yeah. I'm gonna try to find a pretty background for you guys, but I may have to allocate those monies towards other things, so I apologize. Please keep in mind that a lot of this information is channeled through meditation, so if it resonates with you, then great, and if not, that's okay too. So if you have been following my channel, then you will know that I moved. I have moved to Texas, and apparently I have moved in the area that is considered the Bible Belt. So there are a lot of churches, a lot of Baptist churches in particular, which is fine. I don't know why. I mean, I didn't know why until recently, until I did this meditation actually, of why I was called to move here in particular. Because as a, spiritual person who, tries to astral project and, those kinds of things, those are a little weird to most religious groups. And so why would I move here of all places? It was an intuitive decision, and I figured it out during this meditation. But yeah, so I moved to the Bible Belt and I joined a Facebook group, and it's a group for the town. And so a lot of people just post like local things that are happening. If you need to look for local vendors and things like that, you can join this group. So I did that, and I have been on there like crazy because I've been having issues with this house, and I found a lot of good people so far. And then the next day, I couldn't find the group, and I immediately knew that I was kicked out. I don't know, but of course the intuitive side fights the logical human side. And so my intuitive side was like, you got kicked out. My logical side was like, no, why would I get kicked out? And so I created a fake user account on Facebook just to see if I could find the group. And sure enough, I was blocked. And so, part of me wanted to leave it alone, but the other part of it was like, no, I want answers. And so I messaged the admin, there were 3 of them. And I just asked like, hey, it looks like I've been blocked from the group. I just would like to know why. Did I do something wrong? And nobody answered me except for one. I friend requested this particular person and she accepted. And then she said she was gonna try to figure it out. Intuitively, I kind of had just had a suspicion that maybe they looked at my Facebook and maybe found my website, and maybe it just made somebody a little uncomfortable. That's where I initially went. But again, it's just not something I wanted to believe. So I just kind of left it alone. But that was in the back of my mind, my intuitive mind. And I just sort of waited. And so they had not responded to me yet. So during this time, my real estate agent actually called me. I love this guy. He's been so amazing. And we definitely were vibing on like a spiritual energy kind of level, but nobody really said anything in particular of, what our beliefs were. We didn't talk about that. It was just strictly business, I guess. And so he called me and he just asked how I was settling and things like that. And I just told him, some of the things I've had to handle, but otherwise I'm really happy. And he was like, hey, by the way, I checked out your website and I didn't know that you were a Reiki master too. And I was like, oh, you do Reiki? That's so cool. Like, do you take on clients? And, how's business? And he was like, I do friends and family and I do it quietly, but I don't advertise it because I know that would really hurt my business because it's so polarizing here. And I was like, okay. And so when he said that, I went back to my intuitive thinking about the Facebook group, and I was like, I wonder if that must kind of be a little bit of a validation for me about that suspicion. But again, I tried to not really believe that because, I don't know, I just would like, it's weird. It's weird to think about. It's weird to not be liked because of your spiritual beliefs or your spiritual practices, especially if you're a good person and you have good intentions. I don't understand that thinking. It's like being racist, right? Or not liking somebody because of their sexual orientation. It's just something I don't understand. I can understand if the person is bad or doing bad things to other people or hurting animals. I can understand that, but otherwise I don't get it. And so, that was just that was a little validating for me. So, okay, I definitely am living in an area where I not necessarily have to be careful, but just mindful and gentle with the community, I guess. And so that's that. Now I have a group of friends. We called ourselves the spiritual warriors, right? And so it's a group of us. I'm the energy girl, and my other friends, they are either psychic mediums. I have an ex-lieutenant who does like the paranormal investigative part of the group. And so what we would do is we would go to people's homes, people who were concerned about psychic attacks or entities in their homes, and we would go there and clear them out, and we would teach them how to do the same thing. And so we've done that a few times, and it's been a lot of fun. And so we're all in a group text, and jokingly I just wrote in there because they knew that I was traveling from Nevada to Texas, and jokingly I was like, hey guys, I made 2 friends, and this is true. I've made 2 friends so far. They are my neighbors. They are both in their 80s. They are both widowed. And one of them invited me to church on Sunday. I don't go to church, but I'm going this Sunday. So, and of course they laughed, but one of our friends, she is a tarot reader, and she wrote in there like, hey, it's so funny that you say that because I just got a private message on my website from someone saying that I am the reason that black magic is returning to the world, and that, she said some other awful things. And so she felt really bad, and she was like, so if you go to church, if you wouldn't mind praying for me, I would really appreciate it. And so I know she felt terrible. I know exactly how she feels because I've had people reach out to me and just kind of accuse me of certain things and attack me in weird ways. And so the fact that all of these things kind of happened around the same time, it made me feel like there must be some sort of energy or something that I need to address when it comes to this, because she was very distraught about it. And clearly my real estate agent is too scared to even mention that he does that, when Reiki is it's such a beautiful thing to do, and it's not based in, it's just pure spiritual universal energy. And so it's just something that a lot of people don't understand, I guess. And so I just felt really bad. And I, for one, have gotten pretty good about handling the trolls, only because I understand where they're coming from and what it really means. And so that's why I want to talk about this today. So if you're someone who is struggling with that, if you're scared to come out of the spiritual closet because you don't want people to pick on you, mainly maybe from like religious groups, or even people who are atheists or based more out of science, like science, hasn't proven that any of this stuff is real, then it's fine. So the first thing that I want to mention is you have to be wary about having your energy dictated by someone else's words and their judgments about you, especially when they actually don't know what they're talking about. A lot of times, hate and prejudice, it comes from a place of ignorance and a place of fear. It doesn't come from a place of wisdom. It doesn't come a place from knowledge or facts about the thing, or else they probably just wouldn't be bothering you anyway, because they would know a little bit more about it and they would see that it's more benevolent than anything. And so, for example, this woman with my friend said, she's the reason why black magic is coming back to the world because she does tarot readings. Well, that is inaccurate, because tarot cards are a divination tool, and divination is just a tool or a ritual so that you can gain knowledge and information from the collective consciousness, which is God. Now, of course, it's all about the intention. The practice itself is not evil. It's not good or bad. It's just a practice. What you intend for it to do is a whole different story. So if you intend to connect with darker energies that are going to give you toxic information and put people in a worried state, then that, in essence, I mean, it's still not really black magic, but it gets closer to that kind of practice. But of course, I know her very well. We've all worked together. I mean, she will not step foot into a place if there's darker energies. Like she's just not that kind of person. And so I know what her intentions are, which is why she has been so successful as a tarot reader. I mean, she is blowing up because she's just great at what she does. And then also in that statement, it is not factual because black magic has been around since the beginning of time anyway. And black magic, I mean, okay, magic is just using ritual or practices to manipulate reality. And so some would classify magic as white magic, black magic, and then there's gray magic. So white magic is when you do things to create good things in the world or positive things. Black magic is when you do things to create negative things or evil things, I guess. And then gray magic is to balance the scales. And so even from the beginning of time, there has always been light and dark. And then there are people who just use this physical reality to commit the light acts, and then they use the physical reality to commit the dark acts, right? So with that example, to commit a dark act would be to physically murder someone, right? But if you were to use magic, you're using more rituals to manipulate the metaphysical reality in order to get the result that you want. And so what a lot of people don't even realize is that when you pray for a specific outcome and you pray to a certain being, it doesn't matter what it is, but if you're praying to a certain being for a particular outcome, you are performing magic. Even whether or not it's with Jesus or a saint or a demon or God itself, it's still magic. You are still putting an intention out there for a particular outcome in a metaphysical way. And so still, even at the end of the day, tarot readings are not magic. So I know that's a long-winded explanation, but so the point that I'm trying to make is that a lot of these accusations are truly just not factual. And so, I would just caution of getting your feelings hurt by something that doesn't make sense anyway. The second point that I want to make, and which is probably the bigger point really, is that there really is a spiritual war happening right now. And the way that it's manifesting is through things that we're seeing in the world. And so we're seeing war, murders, child pedophilia, our food is being poisoned, our food is being controlled. I personally believe that there are attempts of genocide for the human species, 2020 was a perfect example. And so there is a spiritual war. I also believe that there are a lot of religious groups that also believe that and see that that's happening, but their interpretation of the spiritual war is that tarot readers, witches, people who astral project, those people are the enemy. They are the evil forces that they need to fight against, when that is also not true. The war that we are against, or that we're fighting against, is the energy of disconnection and division itself. It's the energy of hate and intolerance and prejudice. It's that energy that we are against. And so this is why the news is always showing negative things. This is why there are two main political parties, okay? These systems are created so that it creates an environment so that people go against each other. And so what this woman doesn't realize, the one that was, giving my friend a hard time, what she doesn't realize is the very act of reaching out to someone and telling them that they're doing something bad and that, you know, they're the reason why black magic is coming back into the world, that very act is exactly what the dark side wants. That's exactly what they want. They want it to be polarized. They want us to fight. They want us to be divided because we are easier to manipulate if they can accomplish that. Then of course you add in making people sick by poisoning the food, making them take medications, putting lots of toxic chemicals in all of the household products. And then of course you add in politics. And yeah, that's the perfect way. It's divide and conquer, honestly. It's divide and conquer by infiltrating the system. And so if you can recognize that, then you will have a better chance at winning the fight. And it's not necessarily the fight between light and dark, but rather the fight between unity and disconnection. At the end of the day, the ultimate goal will be balance. There will be both, no matter what. As long as we are on this planet, in this binary system, there will always be a polarization between one end and the other. And it was designed that way. It was always created that way. The only problem is that the darker side has taken over for far too long. And now the lighter side is starting to balance those scales. So it's literally no different than someone attacking you for not getting vaccinated. It's the same thing. Now, if you were to attack somebody today, you would probably sound kind of silly, right? Because we have seen what happened. We can see how effective it really was. We can see that a lot of people that chose to get it are no longer getting it anymore. They're not getting the boosters, okay? And so for someone to give you a hard time now, it would look pretty silly. But a lot of people were very comfortable doing that in the beginning because those accusations, that energy was coming from a place of ignorance and a place of fear, right? Now, of course, all of us were kind of ignorant because none of us really knew what was going to happen. A lot of us were just making intuitive decisions, but still, nonetheless. So the person doing the attacking, they are not necessarily the enemy either. They don't know what they're doing. It's just coming from a place of fear. And so if you are being attacked, it is not appropriate to make them the enemy because they are not the enemy either. The enemy is the energy that has been created out of that situation. It is the energy of disconnection and going against each other. That was designed that way. Everything, all of these wild and crazy things that are happening in the world, it is specifically to create that energy. And so honestly, the best thing to do is to just disengage. Just disengage. You are going to waste your time and waste your breath by debating with people, by trying to convince them that you're not evil. You're wasting your time. And by continuing to engage in those conversations and debates anyway, you are lowering your frequency to that level, which again is the whole point. If you are even watching this content, then there is a good chance that you are either going through an awakening or you've gone through an awakening or you're feeling called to something bigger, okay? You are probably a starseed, which I'm wearing my starseed shirt. It says Starseed Earth Crew. So you're probably part of the Earth Crew. And I mean, you're in the fight. You're in it. And it is a battle. And it's a battle that you chose to be a part of. Of course, if you don't feel like you even want to have that kind of interaction with people, even if you don't want to be a part of that, that's okay. It's okay for you to step back and not put your face out there and come out of the spiritual closet. That's okay. That is completely your choice. But if there's even like a small part of you that feels like it's not right and that you want to be part of the people or the energy and the interdimensional beings that balance those scales, then all you really need to do is to just disengage. You don't have to go looking for fights, but you certainly don't have to stay there and be a part of it. Of course, defend yourself to whatever makes you feel comfortable, but I'm just saying it's you don't want to use your energy on that, because it's going to be draining, and you have better things to spend your energy on. So for me, I have spent a lot of time thinking about this. For me personally, I have done past life regressions, and I've channeled a bunch of information for myself. I know that I have spent many lifetimes as an angelic being, specifically like an angelic warrior. I know I've spent millennia fighting in the wars against evil, right? Always working on the light side, fighting against the dark. But these wars never end. They never end. And so this lifetime, I have learned from those past life regressions that participating in the fight isn't always the answer. There will be certain battles that one will have to be a part of, like if you have an entity in your home and you kind of have to battle it out to get them out of your space, that is a battle. But as far as the war goes, my approach has not been successful, obviously, because it's still happening. So now the approach that I am taking is more of an infiltration and planting seeds. And so, honestly, you really just have to lead by example. That's it. Disengage from the conversation and just lead your high vibrational life. That is going to be a slower process, but it is significantly more effective than using your words. You can use your words if you know that the person is receptive, but if they're attacking you, they're not going to hear you. They're not interested in hearing what you have to say. They're only interested in making you feel bad about what you're doing. And that's usually pretty easy to spot. Even if they're going to have a certain tone by asking you like, well, why is it that you think that tarot cards are okay? You can quickly tell if they actually genuinely want to know. And so by all means, you're just going to have to use a judgment call on whether or not that is something that you want to be a part of. But in my personal opinion, I think it's just best to disengage and just to continue living a life that is serving the light. I can't tell you the number of people that I have really opened up to when it comes to like my spiritual world. There is just they can have these certain beliefs that are very external of themselves, and their lives will be, I don't know how to describe it, just I don't want to say empty necessarily, but it's just not magical the way that it can be. And so a lot of people that have gone through an awakening and, have developed their abilities and things like that, it truly becomes like living in a magical world. And when you live in that magical world, like things just happen for you. It's wild. And so why would things just magically happen for you if you weren't on the right path? And it's clean. It's like a clean energy. It's not seductive in any way. It's truly just pure. And when people start to come around with being a little bit more open-minded about spirituality, it's not because I sit there and I try to convince them of anything. It's not because I'm winning debates, because I'm not. I tell people straight up, like, I'm not going to be able to give you proof. I can't speak to you in like a logical manner and tell you why this will happen if you do this, whatever. All I do is I just tell people about my personal stories, and I just go about living my life. And they watch me just live. And I sit there and talk to insects or go hug trees, and then weird things start to happen, like really beautiful and magical things. And when they see that, they know that there must be something to it, that there must be something bigger out there that I must know about that they don't know. And so and the best part about it is that I'm not telling them what to do. I am encouraging them to have a relationship with God, because that's what's giving me all of this. God is the one that's blessing me with all of these magical things. And when I say God, I don't mean the biblical God. I mean the creator of all, the all. It is everything and nothing. There was a time when we owned slaves. There was a time when interracial marriages were illegal. There was a time when gay marriages were illegal. That was not that long ago, okay? The fact that that even happened proves that human consciousness is evolving. It's evolving in the right direction, but it's happening slowly. And so you are here during this time of evolution. And if you are being attacked for your spiritual beliefs, well, you're part of the battle. It'll be up to you if you actually want to participate in the battle. I clearly am participating. That's just in my nature. But the way that I participate is by making YouTube videos, or by planting seeds, or just being positive and just, living my spiritual weird life. All of those things that have happened, people have paved the way to get us here today. And now it's our turn. Except it's not having anything to do with race. It doesn't have anything to do with anything like that, but now it's spiritually based. So now it's our turn to pave the way. If you are being attacked, it means you're being called into action. So wear it with a badge of honor, honestly. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to debate. Again, just disengage, but keep going. Stay in that high vibing state, because that is ultimately how that dark side loses. The light will always win, but you have to remain in it for it to work. But I do want to end this on a specific note. On my way from Nevada to Texas, I decided to stop in New Mexico to visit the Loretto Chapel. And I will make a whole separate video about this chapel, but I've always wanted to visit this chapel because there's a particular staircase that was miraculously built. And I, for whatever reason, felt like I needed to buy a Bible. I didn't own a Bible, but I don't know. It was just something that I felt like I needed to do. So that was my little souvenir from there. I'm gonna grab it. And so while channeling all of this information and meditating and things like that, I decided to do a little bit of bibliomancy, which is where you take a book. Bibliomancy is divination, but using books. And so you can just open up a book and point to something and then read whatever it is and use it as a message to pertain to your own life or whatever issue that you're trying to address. And so I did that for this particular video and this meditation. And so I just wanted to know, what's the deal? What's up with people just being, bothered about their spirituality? And so I landed, now I don't know anything about the Bible. I've never read the Bible, so just bear with me. But I landed in 2 Chronicles. I don't know if it's chapter 28, section 11. I don't know if that's how I say it, but 28:11. And it says, "Now hear me therefore, and deliver the captives again, which ye have taken captive of your brethren, for the fierce wrath of the Lord is upon you." I had to Google what this even meant, this whole chapter. And apparently it is about a particular king who enslaved the Israelites. And now he is just being warned that he needs to release them, or else he will experience the wrath of the Lord. And so I thought that was very interesting because it talked about enslaving, which I had used that in this video as an example. And I also meditated that information. And so, in other words, it's not that we are necessarily enslaved. I mean, we are kind of enslaved in a way. It's in a system, but not physically, obviously. And so the part that caught my eye was like the brethren part. At the end of the day, we are all on the same team, okay? Whoever does the attacking is the one that is going to, receive the wrath of God. Now, how wrathful will it be? It's not going to be that bad, I'm sure. But it clearly is something that God does not like. And so it's just weird that I landed on that particular verse. I could have landed on anything. And I've been reading through it just to see if I could find something and it resonate with the topic, and couldn't do it. So it was just so fitting. But anyway, the Bible is very much up to interpretation. I'm going to be going to, church with one of my elderly friends, and I'm sure I'll learn more about the Bible. But yeah, I don't know. When I talk about the Loretto Chapel, it's very clear that God is on our side. Not that God is on any side, but the energy that I got was it was a blessing, and it was so beautiful. Anyway, I'm gonna cry if I talk about it. But anyway, I'm gonna go because I've got people coming to fix more things in this house. I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. Bye.